Should I comment on other people's posts? And if I do, how do I do it in a good way, in an effective way? That is the question that I will be addressing today. Hi, my name is Rowena Morais. I'm an editor, a writer, and a communication specialist, and I help individuals with their LinkedIn profiles. So, when I answer to this question, should I comment on other people's posts? My short answer is yes, absolutely. It's a wonderful thing to be able to weigh in, to be able to be part of a conversation, to discuss and engage with others on a community such as LinkedIn. However, one needs to be selective. You need to think about the value that you're going to bring to the conversation. And for that, I would say it's important to weigh in in areas that you understand well and that you can, bring a certain amount of experience and expertise to bear. Commenting is part of engaging. So while we do spend time and effort in creating new content, new posts, sometimes from a time perspective or just from a resource perspective, we might not feel up to doing a whole new post or an article. Well, commenting on other people's posts can be part of that content journey for you. It really starts with understanding what is the value that I can bring to this conversation. How can I create value for my reader? And the way to do that is to ensure that you are selective in weighing in on the areas that you have experience and that you can talk about that experience in a meaningful way that readers can appreciate and understand. Being able to talk about our experience, being able to tell a story well, being able to share key learning, these are all ways in which we can add value to the reader. What are some of the things that you would want to avoid doing? You'd want to avoid being judgmental. You'd want to avoid getting too emotionally attached to the topic. Um, you'd want to avoid being rude. And you'd also want to avoid being too brief. Because if the comment is too brief, there isn't significant context that you can add. And I guess the most important thing to remember about when we are commenting is we're getting readers, not just people who are connected to the person that we are commenting on, the post that we're commenting on, but readers from anywhere in the world, from the industry, maybe even outside the industry, readers who have an understanding of the topic or who may not have an understanding of the topic. And that's why context is really important. You want to be able to set the scene well. You want to be able to support the reader so that they understand everything that you have to share. And ultimately, part of the reason for commenting is, of course, it brings attention to yourself. It brings attention to your profile. It brings attention to the issues that matter to you, and it makes for good reading. It makes for good engagement. So how do you start? Well, one of the key ways you can start is by following certain people in certain topics. So if you're in communications, you would follow people who are in the same industry. You might know individuals that you could follow or reach out and connect to. You could also follow certain hashtags and topics, and that will ensure that you get the right sort of content surfacing for you in order to be able to engage in the material. You'd also want to be able to stay active on a regular basis. So even if it's as short as 5 to 10 minutes a day, 2 to 3 times a week, that ensures that you're keeping up to date with what's going on, what's current, what's trending. And you can also start small. You don't necessarily have to have a huge comment, but something that goes beyond great or perfect or I like it. Something that people are coming to the post, and they are, if the topic is of interest, they're going to be looking not only at the post but the kind of comments that are generated. And so you coming in and weighing in should add value to the reader. And so it needs to go a little bit beyond I agree or that's great. Those kind of comments, unfortunately, don't really add much to the conversation. Neither do they help the conversation to continue. So think about how I can add more to the conversation by quoting a piece of research, sharing other ideas, anything that can just extend the conversation. And I think the bottom line is if we are very much focused on what we can do to support the reader, then you will ensure that you are creating comments that are adding value.